What's up, everyone? How are you doing? Welcome to the Faim de Séance podcast, episode 48. Today, I really do not know how you ended up here. 50% of you are probably Charlotte's friends, so hello. So nice of you to join us. Today we talked about Ghost in the Shell, the 2017 remake from the 1995 anime. We talked about the original a lot, as well as the differences between the two movies and how they kind of missed the whole point, I guess. Spoiler alert. Oh, and obviously we talked about whitewashing in this movie, because it was criticized a lot for it, but also in Hollywood in general. So, very societal discussion on the second part. You'll tell us what you think. Thanks to Arnaud, Jean-Yves, and obviously Charlotte for this episode. Do not forget to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or on your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are everywhere. You will have every link on the description of the episode. Thank you so much. I'm not going to bother you any longer. Enjoy the episode. Bisous.
Yeah. I agree.
Isn't that the Batman?
That's like his thing. He's on brand.
Yeah.
I have too much money. I don't know what to do with it. I'm so unhappy with my life right now.
Is it Batman's sadness from losing his parents you can see, or Ben Affleck's sadness because of his contract with DC? You know. So obviously not a good trailer for you, Charlotte.
I'm like not super excited about a lot of like things coming out of like proper Hollywood right now.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because the people who make the decisions aren't creatives. You know, I think in terms of like what comes out of studios, it's just largely people with no imaginations in suits.
Yeah,
like white men, older white men in suits, or okay, maybe they don't wear suits, maybe they're casual now, but like they're looking for bankable names, bankable titles. It's reboots, it's whatever, you know.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, and I guess for this movie, Ghost in the Shell, we'll talk about this some more.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. How about you, Arnaud? Justice League? You haven't liked any of the new DC movies, right?
No.
Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad. What? You haven't
watched
Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I think it was terrible.
One, yeah.
And when I watched this trailer, you know, it feels like a clip from a video game. It's like everything is fake. Yeah. The set decoration, the suits as well. It's done in CGI, and I'm fed up with that because I feel like the imagination of the people building these sets and these suits in CGI is always the same. It's like there is one artist in Hollywood doing all the films. It feels like it, you know. It's the same picture always.
I kind of agree with you, Arnaud. But the thing is, it's the most comic-y movie that I've seen lately, because every other movies like Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, they wanted to go the dark way. We want to be more realistic, something like that, and it failed miserably because it's not supposed to be realistic. And this one is, I don't know, I get a vibe of perhaps not so much seriousness, and I guess the kid in me wants to believe that is going to be
it's like
a good
DC
movie.
does the Avengers.
Yeah.
You know the problem with this film as well? I feel it's like they adapt some comics, but they just transpose it to the big screen. There is no thought process about how to adapt it. You know, when we watched a Split by Shyamalan, It's like a comics adaptation, but it's sought for the big screen. Yeah. It was the same thing with Unbreakable, when it talks about superheroes. It's like a real version for the cinema. And when I watch DC films, it's like they just cut the comics and they throw it on the screen and
throw it on the screen.
Do what you want with it.
Plus the fact that they're probably thinking, the suits are probably thinking, oh, watch what they're doing on Marvel side. We should do exactly the same. So
but the thing about Marvel is they're coming up with new storylines and new I guess like ways to bring things to life using like music and
they
I don't know, comedy.
The problem is
they're used to challenging themselves a little bit more.
I don't know, because when we talked about Marvel movies in this podcast, we always said that this is a company that doesn't like to take risks. They always do the same thing, and I agree.
At the beginning, they used to take risks. At the beginning, with Iron Man and things like that. I don't know. At the beginning of the whole MCU,
maybe the first Iron Man.
Now I agree. It might.
I think it's like I think when I think about it, stuff like Iron Man, and I don't even like know my universes, like the Hulk, like those at least had like stories. Whereas I think like Arnaud, what you're saying about the video game resonates with me because it seems like it's just plotless. It like looks like it's going to have like one action objective and like have very little like character intrigue, very little like substance. Whereas like it's not that Marvel is like full of substance and depth, but they at least have nailed to a certain extent how to craft a genuinely entertaining feature. Yeah. Even if it is being like lifted in a lot of ways from
that's
the source
true.
material.
It's watchable, but what I feel is when they released the Guardian of the Galaxy, they said we took a lot of risk because it's different from any other Marvel film, and Guardian of the Galaxy was like a remake of the first Star Wars. And it's like it's your idea of taking a risk, remaking the Star Wars.
Yeah. What if you take them at face value?
Yeah, I agree.
What if that is a Rick in the current industry? That's like the saddest fucking statement I've ever heard. Oh, can I swear?
Oh, you can fucking swear.
Cool.
It's
mainly for French people, so we don't care.
And they don't even understand what we say,
Word.
so you can say anything.
Word, they're gonna love it.
Stop cutting Jean-Yves. God damn it. Jean-Yves, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking about something I heard on another podcast, which was that because you mentioned Iron Man, and there was this guy who was talking about Iron Man, and he said Iron Man was great because it was, if you split this in two parts, the first part is one of the greatest character development thing, because you see this character rising and as this guy trying to become this robot thing, and then the second part of the film is like a robot fights, and what Hollywood mistook for the good thing was the robot part. So I think they've been doing robot fights for many things afterwards, and it's really really funny because they did really use the wrong thing, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yes, Iron Man had some depth because it was maybe the only film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to really work a theme. A film about economic liberalism. It's a film really inspired by Ayn Rand philosophy and things like that.
It has really good. It has really good depth. What I'm saying is that from the thing that went afterwards, they only took the robot fight parts from Iron Man.
That's why I agree with you. It's like they didn't take maybe the things that made Iron Man a unique film. I don't know unique, but an interesting film maybe.
Well, it made it resonant with the people watching it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing I always love with Hollywood is they think that they know why this movie worked, and they will copy it for 10 more movies, and it's always the wrong thing they copy. It's never the real thing that resonated, like you said, with the audience. Any other news, perhaps, because I can see no one is really excited for this Justice League movie. Any movie perhaps that's hot for the 2017 or something you want to talk about lately? But by the way, Matt Damon is supposed to play Darkseid, so the evil guy in the Justice League thing. So Ben Affleck and Matt Damon will reunite after the.
I gotta go, you guys. It was really nice talking.
I have one I'd like to mention. I'm really excited about the new Ben Wheatley's movies. He's a British director. You might know him from The Kill List, or more recently High Rise with Tom Hiddleston. And he's got this film coming out in France in June. It's already come out in England. It's called Free Fire. It's got Martin Scorsese as an executive producer. And basically what it is like this 70s gangster shootout in a warehouse, and looks great. It's like apparently 2 hours of gangsters shooting at each other with like Looney Tunes gags.
Okay.
It sounds really promising. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can see Charlton Copley, Brie Larson, Armie Hammer. So right, that's pretty good cast. Okay, well, we'll look into that. It was released a few days ago in the UK and in June here. Yeah, okay.
And also there's another flick getting a lot of buzz in Britain right now. It's called Get Out. It's like supposedly a thriller horror film.
I think Charlotte saw it actually. She told me about this film.
Oh, did you?
Which one?
Get Out.
Oh, I saw it twice.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you like? Oh, you liked it?
Yeah,
then?
it's a really, really rewarding second watch. It's a beautiful fucking movie. It's just like a perfect horror movie.
Great.
Okay, so I'm actually really excited to see this one and perhaps doing a podcast on this one because I love Jordan Peele.
The lead actor was in one of my favorite Black Mirror's episode. Season 1, number 2. So I'm looking forward to see him in a feature long 2 hours.
Oh, he's fantastic. There are some acting moments in that are just like unreal.
Okay.
Like it's so good.
It's coming out in France in June, I think. So I guess we can do the episode with you if you want, if you're interested.
Oh, yeah.
That might
I
be
would
cool.
love to. I would love
That'd
to.
be great. Just going to talk about one thing that I'm excited for. It's a new TV show that's going to come out in a few days on Hulu. It's called Dimension 404. It's supposed to be some kind of Black Mirror, I guess more poppy or something like that, more fun. And I just saw that some fun guys are supposed to be involved in this Dimension 404, like Patton Oswalt, Joel McHale, and guys like that. So
nice.
I'm pretty excited about that. Saw the trailer. So some Twilight Zone that we haven't seen for a while, but I guess more in tune with the society of today. So it could be cool.
And I'm gonna say I'm really looking forward the next movie by Bong Joon-ho, Okja, with Tilda Swinton and Jake Gyllenhaal. So it's his second English language film. And I think he is one of the most interesting directors on the planet right now. So I'm really looking forward. It's a monster movie, like The Host was. So
nice.
I'm looking forward.
Okay, I guess we can dive into the Ghost in the Shell, a remake from the anime that came out in 1995. Ghost in the Shell director Rupert Sanders with Scarlett Johansson, Pilou Asbæk, and Takeshi Kitano. I'm just going to read you the synopsis from IMDb, okay? In the near future, Major is the first of a kind, a human saved from a terrible crash who is cyber enhanced to be a perfect soldier devoted to stopping the world's most dangerous criminals.
I have been watching you. You have to remember.
I saw someone down there. He wasn't human.
He's a known terrorist, and he's killed again.
They didn't just kill them. They hacked into their minds.
He's everywhere and nowhere.
I will find him. And I will kill him.
What did you think of Ghost in the Shell? We'll start with non-spoiler discussion, just what you thought about it, I guess, what you liked, didn't like, or what you thought was successful or not in this movie, and perhaps leave the spoiler discussion for after. Who wants to start?
Maybe I'm gonna start. First, I'm gonna give maybe a little background about Ghost in the Shell in general. So when you watch this one, it says that it is adapted from the manga by Masamune Shiro, which was the manga that inspired the 1995
the anime
movie. The first thing to say is that the manga is not that good. It's just, you know, and the real.
What's not good about it?
Well, it's just this goofy science fiction manga with a lot of attention toward the weapons and the big robots, and it's not really that deep of a manga. You know, it's just shallow, I thought. And the real artist that brought it to something really thoughtful was Mamoru Oshii. And when he adapted it, it was a betrayal of the manga. It was really different. It's really serious. It's philosophical. It's a really slow movie. Who takes the time, you know, to dive into its problematic. And this movie is not really adapted from the manga. It's more like an Americanized and dumbed down version of the 1995 movie. Because the story is quite different, but they remade some scenes from the original film shot for shot.
Yeah.
And it's like they thought that what made the original film was its visual, so they took the visual, but they left out, I feel, the meaning of the film.
Again, an example of what they thought was great in the anime, but got completely wrong. Just to add something to that, there was a TV show, 2 seasons, I think, of anime just right after the movie of 1995.
No, it was after the second movie from 2004.
Oh, after Innocence, yeah. And so I guess 2 movies in this universe, and then a TV show, and they kind of took some things also from the rest of the Ghost in the Shell universe in this movie, even though, well, it didn't really add up to something great.
I don't feel like Rupert Sanders had the qualities of a good director. He doesn't direct his actors. I felt that the pace was off, and I feel like he can make some beautiful pictures, you know.
Shots,
but for me, it's more like an art director or a director that can do some cool shots for the trailers of the film, but not a good film. And for me, the film was that. And the main thing I have against the movie, it's the pacing, because even though you have some good pictures here and there, I don't have the time to absorb the picture and to think about them.
Okay, so visually it didn't stun you at all.
No, because I felt, and that's something I usually hate in cinema. It's when you bend your actors to your visual and not the visual to your actors. But at one time, there is Scarlett Johansson interrogating a suspect in a glass cube.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was a glass cube. And the shot begins, you only see the suspect. And then the camera slowly pan. And behind the suspect, there is Scarlett Johansson. And, the shot reveals that there is Scarlett Johansson behind the suspect. And Scarlett Johansson is really stiff, and she's like...
She's a robot.
Yeah, she has a posture, so you can't see her at the beginning of the shot, and you can see her after. And I felt like the acting direction for this scene was, Scarlett, could you bend over a little bit so we can see you? Please? You know, it's motivated by the visual. It's like the actress is here to be part of the shot, but not part of the character. She bends not because it's the characters that ask for it, it's because the visual ask for it. And I felt like all the film was like that. The actors are always stiff, like they can't move out of their mark, you know?
Any other thoughts on the movie, Jean-Yves, Charlotte?
Yeah, I hated it.
You hated it.
Yeah, I thought I was I was offended for so many reasons. I thought that the script was insultingly simple for, what is hypothetically a relatively complex and interesting premise. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about the whitewashing later, but I felt like the ethnic minorities cast in the movie were either villains like really like black teeth villains, like really comically evil villains, or set dressing.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about good sci-fi is that it speaks to some like really deep meaning, and there was no atmosphere, there was no like sense of deep anxiety and foreboding that I think is like the foundation of a lot of dystopian sci-fi. Yeah. The pacing wasn't earned. The visuals were okay, but like I felt like they looked like a very slick ad.
The original, sorry to get back to that, but it was kind of a Blade Runner-esque and film noir, and this one is just much more light. And the thing is, okay, you can see in the first 10 minutes that you're not going to have a really thoughtful movie about what it is to be a human, what it is to be a machine, or whatever. So I guess I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, perhaps I'm going to see a good action movie. And the action scenes, because the action scenes were just completely copied from the anime, which is actually, if this movie came out in the 90s, I would have said, wow, fuck, that's awesome. But now I can see that in every single action movie, so that's not original. And visually speaking, well, it's nice. It looks it looks pretty, but again, I've seen that a lot of times. So you did a good copy from your neighbors, but C plus. James Moss, I think, wrote the screenplay. He wrote Street Kings, which was a shitty movie too.
And the other screenwriter is Aaron Kruger, the screenwriter of the Transformers movies.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That explains a lot.
And I feel like Hollywood think like this. It's
robots. Yeah. Take this guy. He knows about robots.
It's called Ghost in the Shell. There are robots in it, so maybe Aaron Kruger, So.
Yeah.
He knows robots.
He get them. I'm almost crying when I saw Dark of the Moon.
With this movie, it's just, well, you're obviously out of your depth. You haven't understood anything. In the first movie, The Ghost in the Shell was all about a reflection on humanity and the kind of soul thing that you could find in a being that's completely artificially created. All right? And in this one, it's just not here at all, because from the beginning, you see a human brain in a robot. So she's a human. It's never a problem about that. She's just a superhuman, that's all. And she doesn't even really ask herself, am I a human or am I a machine? No, because everyone around her has some kind of enhancement. So it's more like about her past than about what she is really.
And that's why they invented this subplot about her past, which is not present in the original, because they didn't have something to talk about, because they changed things about the nature of the movie.
Which actually I don't find this to be a bad thing. I mean, you can adapt however you like an original story, but
I'm not against it if you do something good.
You take this and you just say less.
Yeah.
Jean-Yves, perhaps what did you?
Yeah, I'm just going to start by what I liked about the movie, so it's going to be really quick, I guess. I really enjoyed the set designs. Really enjoyed what they created from the Hong Kong landscape of the futuristic city, and the almost that the environment was like cluttered with like visual noise everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I really like the skyscraper high holograms for advertisement. I really think that that's what Megalopolis would look like in 100 years' time. So apart from that, that's it. And I think to answer to what Arnaud said, I think that I looked him up, and apparently he was a music video director. So I guess it explains a lot about not being able to go beyond this 2 minutes window. So I really like that.
You got that opening right on.
I really like the because I really like the first action scene though, and when 15 minutes in the film I was having quite a good time, and then it really went to hell in like 30 minutes. So right after the first action scene, I think like you said, it's like a worn out copy of the other 1,000 films we've already seen, so it's not really interesting. I found it paradoxically dated, it's like supposedly this high-end CGI, and it's so supposedly to be so nice, but it feels old and dated halfway through, so it's really strange. And I think it's so uninspired, so uninspiring as well, so dull, so shallow. I mean, it's really because this movie to me is full of ironies and it's so paradoxical on so many levels. And the question I asked myself was, when you decide to do something like this, when you take a second reading, or you take a different angle on an already existing work of art, what do you want to do from it? Because do you want to take a different angle? Do you want to add something new? It seems to me that there is even less than the previous one. It's I don't really understand. Why he did it, and it's really disappointing because I'm a really big fan. This is right up my alley. I really like this science fiction cyberpunk universe. Really like that. But what do you do from it? I mean, so it's a big disappointment for me, and I don't understand. And I think Scarlett Johansson is so dull. I mean,
she's a cipher.
Yeah, she's like there's nothing going on. It's
she's playing a robot. So.
Well, to defend her, she has nothing to play. Really, it's really hard. And there are some good actors in the film. There is also, Juliette Binoche, and she's. I'm sorry, but she's horrible in the film. She has nothing to play. She's horrible.
She's horrible for the reasons that she tends to, when she plays badly, she plays dramatic. She plays kind of two-dimensional, she's like, another actor fallen victim to lack of direction.
Yeah. And so she clings on the only thing she has. It's I'm gonna pretend to be Scarlett Johansson's mother, and that's the only thing she plays in the film.
Although
that's,
I have to give it out to Pilou Asbek, the guy who played Batu. And perhaps I'm going to say this because
which one was he?
The guy who plays Batu with the two eyes.
With the eyes.
And perhaps it's because I know the character from the anime, so I'm kind of fond of this character. And I thought he did a good job because I don't know why, but he played it more like a human actually, and I kind of felt for him. And also Michael Pitt. I don't know why he was there just for 40 seconds, but I liked him.
Useless.
No, I
love
agree
Michael
with
Pitt,
but but the thing is, technically it's okay. He tries to do something about the robot voice about his. No, technically he tries to do something, but he has nothing to play really. It's like shallow. It's like shallow acting everywhere,
like for 40 seconds.
It's because of the screenplay and because of the director, obviously. But it never go beyond this one-dimensional character.
They brought in first rehearsal performances that were never shaped further. That's the job of the actor to come in to having done the work, and the director says, "Okay, that's not working for me. Think like." Can you give me this? Can you shade it this way? Can you think about this moment in the script?
Yeah.
But they never got that far.
No. Because the director was just trying to tell them to not move so he can have the perfect shot, you know?
Yeah, or like, just be like, remember you're a robot.
And just to add to this, the character of Kasuke is just they're supposed to create a bond, Scarlett and Michael Pitt, and they just
hair.
do not have they just do not have time to create that romantic bond. And in the original, it was not a romantic bond. It was a bond through, we are the same kind. We are not human. We are kind of lost in and we don't see that at all in this one.
It's too much for Americans,
and which is extremely funny because the anime is just an hour and 20 minutes, and you feel like some scenes are very long, and you have time and all. And this one is 2 hours, and you're like, oh my god, you've said nothing.
To be honest, the plot of the original is much simpler, so he can develop everything he wants about this plot. The plot of the original movie is really it's just someone looking after a terrorist, and that's it. And there is no subplot about the past of the character, or no subplot, so he can really build upon these premises. You know
it's just exposition.
It's just exposition.
Yeah. It's just about we have an evil corporate guy. Stop with that. You got to stop with the CEOs who are evil. I mean, we've seen that already 10,000 times. Like, I'm supposed to believe that he has no one else in his Henka Industries that's just a big douchebag too.
Can I talk about the thing I thought was the most ridiculous in the film? It's so it takes place in Japan, I guess.
I don't know.
But everyone is talking American except one character who is talking Japanese. And
I don't know.
And it's never explained. There is one character talking Japanese to people, and people answer back in English.
That's actually why and how they can say, we didn't whitewash anything, because we created a world that is completely ununderstandable. It's just because we are supposed to be somewhere. There are Asian people, and sometimes they're not Asian people, but there's a prime minister who's Japanese, but everyone else is speaking English. And we're talking about immigration,
but
and we do not know what the fuck is going on. So they can always relate to that to say, no, we didn't whitewash anything. You just didn't understand our fake world. Yeah, we did not understand, and we do not want to understand because it's fucked up.
Well, I understood that it was mostly white people talking.
So
just for the people who might not understand why we won't talk about whitewashing is because because it's a little bit spoilerish, but we're just not going to tell more about that.
Well, it also deserves its own part.
Yeah,
I know, but I feel there are a lot of reviews, focusing about the whitewashing and shitting on the whitewashing, and there is so much thing to shit on in this film that I feel it's unfair to focus on only one.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like the easy target for critics who do not want to see the movie. They just want to talk about whitewashing and just not going to see the movie.
Well,
and
that I disagree with, because I think to a certain extent, I don't care that the movie was like moderately entertaining, like that I could sit there and not like feel like I wanted to walk out because of the movie. There's a lot of, I would love to shit on all of it. I would love to shit on all of the movie. But like I walked out and I was so infuriated. And I think that a lot of people talking about the whitewashing are in a similar position. They don't care how the movie is, because the continued offense of whitewashing in Hollywood is just so egregious that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how your movie is if you're...
Yeah, for this one, it would be more subtle, perhaps. I don't know. You'll tell me what you think about what I have to say about that later.
I'm glad we're talking about it, and I think, I'm not saying, that that's necessarily my position, but
Yeah, of course. Arnaud, you wanted to say...
Yeah, I want to say I have discovered with this film that if you make a terrible movie, whitewash it and people won't talk about how terrible your movie is.
It's like the big rug where you can put all your dust.
No, but there is something really strange going on, because when there are these scenes with Takeshi Kitano speaking Japanese, but he also understands English, and on the other way, and then Scarlett, she understands. So why would you just speak in one language? What's the point? I mean,
it really doesn't help. It doesn't help their performance, because Kitano is in the screenplay is like a father figure to Scarlett Johansson, and they don't speak the same language. Obviously, the actors don't understand each other, so they don't play together. So there is never a bond between them. It's really not a smart thing to do, to have two characters that are supposed to be close in the movie and take two actors that will not understand each other.
There's no bond at all between any character in this movie. It's just people talking face camera
and you know what's funny about the Takeshi Kitano part is that that I found it really surprising for like a blockbuster feature like that to have like subtitled Asian native language character, like subtitled parts. And it's funny because it supposedly and allegedly brings out this big open-mindedness of the film, this big multiculturalism. And then I read something which was so funny. There was a critic, and he noticed that you won't find one trailer for the movie where you can actually see Kitano speaks. You know what I mean? So it's like so hypocritical. I mean, they're not going to take the risks to show this on the trailer because it might, put off.
Yeah.
People.
So are we going to have to read subtitles in this movie? Oh no, I'm not going to see it.
You say that like it's a joke, but it's not. I can't tell you. Like, I have friends, like really dear friends. Americans don't want to read when they go to the movies.
Yeah, that's why, and that's why. Coming back to what you said about these people in suits taking decisions for the movies, and that's right there. You've got the people. Are you serious? Are you really going to put some Japanese guy in the trailer? This is not possible.
Oh yeah, no one will come.
No
one will come.
It's really unfair towards Kitano, because for those who don't know, Takeshi Kitano is one of the best Japanese director alive right now.
Oh shit!
He's like. Oh yeah, he's a legend.
I didn't know that.
He did some masterpieces.
Why is he doing this?
Because he needs money
that's a good question.
Because of money.
I think because of money.
Because of the big corporate world.
Probably Henka Industries. I'm just scratching my brain to find something positive to say about this. Yeah, tell me.
I found one moment in the movie that I found to be really beautiful, and that was the scene with the prostitute.
The prostitute,
where she goes and it's like a minute and 30 seconds, and she goes and she touches her face, and they have like I thought that moment was really beautiful visually, and the moment for the actors, like they were really connected. It's a really simple scene, but I thought that was really beautiful, and that was like a moment where they were. I think that they did kind of explore the juxtaposition of human mind, robot body, but in a really ham-handed way. Like I forget who Scarlett Johansson was talking to, or she looks at someone and they're like, "No, you're just like us." Should they like reassure her? But it's like very explicit. And the scene with the prostitute, it's like almost nonverbal. It's like it's so much subtler than anything else that happens in the movie.
It reminds me of something in the original film. It's not really a spoiler, but this scene is not present in the original movie, but there is something much shorter and maybe more interesting. It's so the Major has this robot body in the film, and at one time she just walked past a clothing store, and there is a mannequin in the clothing store with the same traits as herself. Because she was built by the same company, and she watched at herself, the robot body she had inside the shop, and I thought it was it's one of the beautiful moments in the original film that is not.
Yeah, and it's really a shame because that was such an interesting topic, and because I remember that moment. But the film never allows you, because it never lingers on that, and it never allows you to go more in depth in that topic. You know what I mean? Because I really like this thing about there is obviously an identity theme where people you never sure about if people are robots or humans. I guess that one's the theme, but you never get the chance to go into this, and then you go right back in yet another lame action sequence. That's really a shame.
The thing is, I did find this the scene that you talked about, Charlotte, beautiful, but it didn't allow me to see the what I liked in the first one, and the fact of being a human or not, because I thought what she said to the prostitute was very, very body specific, and she said, "What does it feel like when I touch you like this," or things like that, which came to me as a problem, like of organic, of sensitivity or things like that, and not really about what it feels like to be something more than a body. I don't know if I'm being understood, because in the anime something happened that just allowed her brain to be elevated in something more than just a human brain. But in this movie, it doesn't happen. She just has the same brain from the beginning to the end, and you're just like, oh wow, it must be nice to jump 15 meters and have a robotic body and nothing more than that. But that's all. Anyway, okay, so let's stop talking about this movie on the non-spoiler side, all right? I'm just going to ask you to grade the movie on 5 yums. That's our unit.
From 0 to 5 yums, we give
Yums, yeah.
It's yums, yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Did you notice how Arnaud stressed the 0? It's 0 to 5.
You can pick 0. It's up to you.
How do you guys work in fractions?
Yeah, you can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I could do like 7/10 of a
Oh
yum.
yeah, of course.
Yes,
like
you can. It's very
nice.
specific, and you must have some really nice grading skills if you do that. But
I have a really precise rubric.
I'm going to give it a 2.5 because the film in itself, like I said in our messenger conversation, I wasn't extremely bored and a little bit entertained. And for me, for me, it's a 2.5, and the 0.5 comes from something I will say in the spoiler. Perhaps you will dissuade me from giving this 0.5. We'll see.
Okay, so for Arezki, this film is a nice way to wait 2 hours waiting to die.
Exactly.
For $20. I want to say, like, I kind of am inclined to agree, although, like, I feel like ethically, or not ethically, but, like, on principle, I need to, like, give it, like, a 1.5.
On principle. I kind of agree, because...
Yeah, I would have given it a higher rating if I hadn't paid to see it in the theater.
Okay.
It cost $20. It cost me $17.50.
Oh, yeah.
$17
and 50 cents. Yeah.
What? That's amazing. You should give it a
not
0.
For 3D. No 3D.
Let's be clear. If I had to pay $17.50, I would have given this movie a 1.5. I agree with you. But I have a subscription to the cinema, so it's free for me. so like Arnaud said, I just paid 2 hours of my life. That's all, which is a lot. Perhaps I'm going to reevaluate to 2. I don't know.
Like, think of all the games you could have played on your phone.
Yeah. That's the thing. I kind of played on my phone while... No, I'm kidding. Arnaud.
I'm gonna give this movie a 0.5.
Yes.
So that's 0.5 more than Brimstone. That's awesome.
I know. But to be honest, I might have given it a little bit more if I was not so much in love with the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have to take this into account.
We all have our emotions. in
I might have gave it a 1.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Jean-Yves is going to be so decisive.
Yeah, I feel inclined to balance out Arezki's indulgence, because I don't understand why he's so indulgent with that movie. I think he's like the quota for indulgence in the podcast, So
if I'm not
I'm
here,
going to
everything's going to be a 1. Right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a solid 1. A solid 1.
A fat one. All right. Let's settle down for a minute. Just talk about the movies you've seen lately, and we'll come back with a fresh eyes and ears on the spoiler discussion.
To just spoil the shit out of it.
Yeah, exactly. What have you seen lately that you loved or hated or just want to talk about?
Well, I did see Raw.
Oh, yes. That's right.
I did go and see that, which I loved and want desperately to see it again, but I can't. I just can't.
Did you throw up in the movie theater?
No, but I did hide. I went with my friend Sunny, and both Sunny is like a strict vegan, and like we were both like, and I'm vegetarian, and we were like both hiding and like coming up out of our seats and like hiding again and coming up again. It was fucking great. It was so good. But like I felt like in the best way, just like my face was melting off for like 2 hours.
Any comments on it, or a grade, by the way, on this movie would be great, because we've reviewed it in French last time, I think, no?
2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
So I might say, if you want to know more about the film, you might want to learn French and then listen to the podcast.
Yeah, to the episode 46.
And share the podcast with at least 100
Yes.
friends, and then you're good to go.
And if you don't do it, you might get eaten by someone. All right, so
Knowledge is power.
a little grade from you on this movie out of 5 on a Raw. I guess it's a limited release in the US, obviously.
Yeah, it's in I saw it at the Angelica in Manhattan, which has great programming.
Okay.
But I want to say like
Suspense.
4 3/4.
Oh, well, you loved it. Definitely.
I really liked it. I wasn't entirely sold on the ending.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the way that it ended.
Yeah.
And the pacing of the ending, like I felt like it needed like either another beat or like, something. But on the whole, and like as far as like adventurous horror filmmaking goes, like I just enjoyed it so much, and that's a weird thing to say. Finger licking good.
Obviously. I finally saw Split. And I thought it was a great movie, because obviously for a certain reason at the end, and I think you wanted me to see this for that, but also the movie in itself sounded like a scream from Shyamalan himself. I thought it was about the director that said, you know what? You have to suffer a little bit from critics or from making bad movies to have a great comeback. And I thought through his character, the guy said that for himself. And I thought it was really clever, not to mention, of course, the brilliant James McAvoy, the maestria of Shyamalan on some fucking great scene and great shots. So, I give it a 4 out of 5 on this one. And go ahead, Arnaud. I have some other movie to talk about. I'm just going to go to my IMDb history to remember.
I haven't seen good movies in the theater lately, so I'm gonna talk about a bad one. Beauty and the Beast.
Oh no!
Ooh.
By Bill Condon. So it's the exact same film as the animated Disney movie, like shot for shot, the same thing, but they replace great animation with mediocre acting. So I don't see the point, really. It's like, why did you do this? It's unbelievable.
When are people going to realize that Emma Watson is not that good an actress? I mean,
she's the new Keira Knightley.
So it means she will be forgotten in a year or two, right?
But first she'll do some Chanel and some Saint Laurent campaigns,
exactly.
And say some things about feminism and wear some big sunglasses.
Yeah, and come back for Beauty and the Beast too.
And act with her nose.
It reminded me of that talk we had about, it's like the morale of the film is like 50 Shades of Grey. It's like, as long, even though you look like like a beast. As long as you have the big castle, you get all the girls. As long as you're rich, and you got the castle, you can get the girls.
It's a really misogynistic story, but as well, the original one.
Yeah, so obviously they just adapted this one because
and it's strange because I was looking forward because everyone was saying it's the first Disney film where there is a gay character, and I was waiting for the gay moment in the film, and it's just like it's gay like Top Gun is gay. It's not it's not really
but Top Gun is so gay.
That's the thing. Listen, if you have a fairy tale that's kind of misogynistic and you're supposed to remake it now, why would you do the exact same thing now? Why do they always want to copy exactly the same thing? It's like Ghost in the Shell. It's useless. Why don't you stay at home and just not do it?
Because it made money the first time.
Yeah, it's been making huge sums now. I hear it's number one in the England box office. It's like a good solid number one. So as long as these movies are going to get money, there's no way they're going to change the way they do it. I mean,
it's like people do not want to use their brain to come up with other ideas, even if they fail. It's like, take a chance, take a fucking little risk, just there and come up with something I can watch and say, oh, that was new. That was shitty, perhaps, but that was new.
Mm-hmm.
And how ironical for Emma Watson, who's supposedly this feminist icon, and she ends up like the housewife in the big castle. I mean,
yeah. So I'm talking
with an abusive lover.
I love Dan Stevens. He's supposed to play the Beast, I think, and this guy just is on a TV show that's called Legion, an X-Men TV show that I really like, and I guess the season finale just aired this week and was cool. It was a fresh take on mutant powers. I liked it, and this guy I liked a lot, but in this movie, shitty. That's what you say, Arnaud?
Yeah. Well, it's not bad. It's just bland,
Yeah.
It's
tasteless.
Yeah, tasteless. Exactly.
Okay.
Well.
And that's the thing, because they are adapting all their animated film in a live version nowadays, and it's like in their animated section they have the best animators on the planet. So it's like great animation is like great acting. When you see a Disney animated film, it's like great acting. There is always some depth in the way the character acts. So if you want to transpose it to a live action film, you better give everything to have good performances. That's.
A grade on 5, just to give me some kind of a level for Beauty and the Beast.
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay.
An unenthusiastic.
It's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's just why did I see that? Why did I went to see that? That's the question I was asking.
Because
myself.
You had to podcast to do. So I have my IMDb ratings history. So I saw Miss Sloane. Have any one of you seen this movie with Jessica Chastain?
No.
It's
no.
It's like a long House of Cards episode, and that's just it. I guess it's just that, and which is, I guess, pretty good. But Mark Strong is pretty good too in this movie. But there's nothing really challenging for her character, for her as an actress. She's just supposed to play the Ice Queen that's super great at managing political campaigns and lobbyists in Washington. And the wrong thing, I guess, in the movie is that she plays the good guy. And I didn't expect that at all. I was like, oh, great, we're going to see a shark in Washington that's actually a lobbyist for guns and anti-gun control. And that's exactly the opposite. So there's nothing really, it's just bland. 2.5. 2.5 because it's not bad, actively bad, like I said, but it's watchable, but there's nothing new. So Ghost in the Shell, spoilers. Okay, let's talk about the whitewashing thing, because that's why I put the point on this. It's because the movie in itself, I thought, was about whitewashing. That's how I felt when I watched it. It was, so I guess she was supposed to be a Japanese girl whose brain was stolen, and they gave her an Occidental shell. And I thought it was supposed to be some kind of reflection on, look, what are we doing with the movies that we're actually remaking? We're just taking the soul of it, but giving it a scarlet shell. And I thought it was kind of interesting. It would have been more interesting if the movie was good. Maybe
we need to explain what's going on. Maybe we need to explain the twist properly.
Yeah, the twist being that actually, the Major's character, so Scarlett Johansson's character, is found to be, like I said, a Japanese girl who was a refugee and who was, I guess, kidnapped by this Henka Industries to be experimented on to create this weapon of the Section 9, which is Scarlett Johansson, as we see her in the beginning of the movie. So that's why I thought about...
I don't agree with you, because the thing was, when I went to the theater, I didn't know that the film was taking place in Japan. I thought it was taking place in the US, and that it was a transposition of the film when they did a remake. And I wouldn't have something against that, because I like The Departed by Martin Scorsese, which is a remake of a Chinese film, and it was transposed to the Irish mafia in Boston, and it worked for me. So I wouldn't have but here. In this particular film, in Ghost in the Shell, it's taking place in Japan, and all the main characters are white, and the only people being Japanese is Asian are minor role or extras. And it felt wrong, because they never talk about why are the main people in Japan white and why do they speak English. They never talk about that. It's not inside the project of the film. It would be great if it was explained. If they say they took someone Japanese and they gave him a Western body, but they never talk about why being white would be better for a cop in this universe. It's never dealt with. You know what I mean? So for me, it was I was really bothered by it, to be honest.
But those kinds of explanations require a certain level of self-awareness and awareness of the work that you're making and of the themes that you're addressing. That, like, the director and the executives, down to I just felt someone said. The director was out of his depth earlier. I think everyone was out of their depth. There was no depth and no awareness. There's no room for that.
I agree. It's not. And there is something also in this film. It's really superficial, because at some points, every time they try to manipulate Scarlett Johansson's brain, they ask her, "Do you give consent?" And she has to say, yes, I give consent. And you would think, like, do they try to say something about consent in the workplace? Do they want to deal with this subject? But they don't. It's just cosmetic, They
that in particular is setting up for the moment at the end where Juliette Binoche says, "We never needed your consent."
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do they say about that?
Well, I think it's clear for me. It's about Hollywood being, we don't have to have your consent. We're just going to copy your work anyway. That's how I see the ending of this movie, and that's why I kind of like
Ghost in the Shell was already copied by The Matrix.
Yes,
and all these
exactly.
Films.
Now the question is, do we have to talk about specifically whitewashing? Because I think. The fact that it is set in Japan was some guy's idea of an homage to the original Ghost in the Shell, but it was completely misplaced. Because Jean-Yves, you said Hong Kong, and I kind of agree. I thought it was Hong Kong and not really Japan, but of course there are Japanese people, and then you're saying, oh yeah, no, it's in Japan, of course. There's Takeshi Kitano, okay, and
well, the film was definitely shot in Hong Kong.
Okay. It was shot in Hong Kong, but every character have Japanese name, so it's supposed to be Japan.
Yeah, it assumes that all Asian people are the same.
For the guys who directed this movie, probably yes. That's the thing. If you want to remake something, that's already whitewashing. It already exists somewhere. It's just not in English. I'm sorry. You have to read the subtitles. And so if you want to remake it, that's already a whitewashing. So okay, so do it in New York. I love the city. Do it in New York. But if you do it somewhere else and still have some guys, because let's be clear, there were some American people in the anime, because there was a whole subplot of Japanese and American government that is not here at all in the movie. But if you don't do that, you still have to explain a little bit of the multiculturalism of this futuristic Japan, because we kind of don't understand why people are talking English to each other and then responding in Japanese, and I don't know.
I want to add something. It's I think it's this film goes beyond whitewashing. I think there is whitewashing, but there is
more white than white?
Because I need to talk about it now how they westernized the plot. The thing is, a year ago I went to a conference by Pascal Pic, which is a French anthropologist, and he was talking about something really interesting, and he said. Why are the Japanese people the best at robotics? And he said that in Western culture, derived from Christianity, God gives humans a soul. And they are the only beings having a soul, you know? So it's really hard, and it's really against nature for a European or an American to think that a robot can have a soul. And it's really a problem for Western culture for a long time, you know. When the Spanish invade Mexico, for example, there was some controversy to establish if the native people had a soul or not. Because if they had no soul, it would justify slavery. It would justify the slaughter of the native people. So this is something really present in Western culture. And on the opposite end, in the Japanese culture, they are animist, Shintoist. You know, it's an animist culture. So an object can have a soul. An animal have a soul. So they have no problem, you know, saying that a robot can have a soul. So that's why there is no ethical problem to build robots in Japan, as it might exist in Western culture. And if I say that, it's because it's the subject of the original Ghost in the Shell. The terrorist was not a human, he's an artificial intelligence in Ghost in the Shell, who has a conscience. And the major is really disturbed by it and want to meet with him. And all the plot of the film is to establish if this artificial intelligence has a soul. Does it gives him right? At one point, he tries to demand political asylum from Japan because he is a sentient being. And it doesn't work, obviously, so he's tracked down by the government. And at the end of the movie, the artificial intelligence proposed to the major to merge her conscience with him and to become another being. And there is a really beautiful dialogue between them, because the major tells him, "I'm willing to merge my conscience with you, but you have to guarantee me that I will remain the same." And the artificial intelligence say, "It's nonsense. I cannot guarantee that, because tomorrow you won't be the same person as today. Your identity is fleeting. It's not something set in stone. So if you merge with me, we will be someone else, but we will be you and you will be me, and they merge, and it's the birth of a new being,
with
an artificial
the transcendence
being,
because they finish in some kind of by the way, the movie ends with her saying that the net is so vast and limitless, something like that. She becomes the grid.
Yes, exactly. And the thing that is interesting is there is a reflection about the city as well, because he says that being all part of the city, we are part of another organism, which is a city, and which has his own consciousness. And when he travels through the city, there is a sense that he shoot this at it if the city was the inside of a body with a neuronal network, and he really tries to do that. In the Ghost in the Shell movie, in the end, the character asks Scarlett Johansson if she wants to merge with him, and she says no, because I want to stay to remain myself. And in the end, she says that she discovered a true identity, and which was the identity that was stolen by the evil corporation, and that now she recovered her soul and she can be herself. So it's the opposite than the Japanese movie. It's a Christianized version of the story. In the remake, in Ghost in the Shell, there is no artificial being, because God don't give soul to artificial being. Yeah. But God give a soul to Scarlett Johansson. It's the base of her identity. That's what the film says.
Yeah. By the way, there's always the same thought when we compare Asian original movies and their remakes in the US. When it's in the US, it's about individuality, that she refuses to merge, and in the original, it merges because there's some kind of effort for the society, the thing that we kind of know from Japanese people, to blend into something more than just one.
But it is really something Mamoru Oshii believes in, because he believes that the identity is the result of a collective thinking, and is an avid reader of philosophy, and that's why he thinks about philosophy. Reading philosophy is it's like merging with another soul and learning from it and becoming someone other, because you have access to another identity. And I think that it is really more interesting than saying that God gave you a soul and that's what makes you unique.
That's why this movie is useless, because for me it's like she had a robotic arm. What's the difference? And she stays the same from the beginning to the end of the movie. So there's no ghost in the shell. There's just someone who's super enhanced. It's just a superhero movie.
Let me tell you this. The remake is actually a retell of the story of Pinocchio. Because in Pinocchio, it's a wooden puppet that wants to
You just
become
blew my mind.
a human being.
Oh my god!
No. Let me tell you what it's a remake of. It's a remake of fucking Jason Bourne. That's all. She forgot who she was, and then I remember who I am.
Which came first?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's just we don't care about robots at all. There's no thought process. There's no reflection on what is machine, what could be a human hybrid with a machine in this movie. It's just someone who don't remember his past and is just a badass at fighting people. That's all.
Just let me finish the thought I had, because in the end of Pinocchio, he has a soul that is given to him by the blue fairy. So it's the same thing as God, God grants you the soul. And you say there is no thought in it, and I agree, and it's because there is no thought in it that they Christianized it, because they live in a Christian culture, and when they tell a story, they tell the story this way. So that's why I say that it's beyond whitewashing. It's cultural washing as well.
Yeah. But
do you think the movie will thrive on the Japanese market? That's a good question. How do you think they will receive the characters whitewashing on the Asian market?
Well, there's Takeshi Kitano, so they will be happy
to save the day.
Yeah.
Recently, there was an adaptation of the anime Full Metal Alchemist. And I know people unhappy with it, because in the anime there are some people that are inspired from German culture, so white, and in the film they cast some Japanese actor, and people were not okay with it as well. So I think it's something going on.
Yeah.
Well, I can speak about the Asian American, like my Asian American actor friends and like industry friends. like, it's a huge topic of conversation here, and it is not going over well. Like, it's going over very, very poorly. And, like, the only thing I think that's hopeful and positive about the phenomenon, like, you know, the time-honored and continued phenomenon of whitewashing other culture stories, is that thanks to social media and thanks to the internet, there is a very loud conversation going on. And that diversity sells, and that at some point the executive suits are going to see that. But yeah, in the American, you know, like the communities of people of color in America, people are pissed because it's just continued needling of microaggressions. You know, people still argue that you know, Asian American actors aren't bankable names. I just had this conversation with a bartender the other night, and I kept saying, why is that? It's because they don't make roles for them.
I agree, but also there's a process. I mean, Scarlett Johansson doesn't come from anything. She comes from, like, obviously independent movies, then more and more budgeted movies. And that's the thing. You have to give multi-ethnicity roles to people from mid-budget movies too, because everyone's going to scream about, yeah, they whitewashed this character for this $200 million movie. Obviously, they're going to take someone who's bankable. Obviously, there are no Asian American who's that bankable.
Yeah, John Cho, Constance Wu.
Because for them, it's just money.
Yeah, but you know, they gave some really big budget films to people like how is the actor's name in Captain America, for example?
Which one?
Captain America.
The lead?
You know, the Captain America. Who's the actor?
Evans?
Chris Evans. He wasn't a big name, you know, before the Captain America.
Well, he was
movies.
Johnny Storm.
And I think we're going to see more and more that that's not true. I mean, I think some of the most powerful. You guys haven't seen Get Out yet, but some of the most powerful performances in Get Out were the supporting cast of almost complete unknowns.
Yeah.
That, you know, a director with vision was able to say, this will bring me the best performance. You know, and in terms of Asian American industry, there's a movie that's being cast right now called Crazy Rich Asians, which is going to be like an entirely Asian American cast, creative crew. And I can almost guarantee you that the box office for that, and, you know, Get Out grossed like some record amount in its first couple weeks. I can almost guarantee you that Crazy Rich Asians is going to have like a huge Asian American turnout, as well as like other demographics.
Yeah. Well,
with an unknown. They just cast an unknown. Constance Wu signed onto it and cast an unknown as the male lead.
Yeah, but this is going to be the stepping stone for another big budgeted movie where they will pick those actors from. You know what I'm saying? It's just...
Oh yeah, totally. It's a rigged system.
Yeah, you have... Because I'm putting myself in, you know, robotic suit 20th Century Fox Paramount mode. All right, I need a name for my $150 million movie. That's all. I'm not willing to take risk in the script. I'm not willing to.
Why do they need a name for Ghost in the Shell and not one for Captain America?
Again, it's about not taking risks, and not taking risks is picking up a white guy, and obviously, well, he's Captain America. He's blonde, you know. But
yes, because he's white.
And that's the thing. I would argue that, you know, why didn't they start the MCU with Black Panther? No, they just waited for everyone to be so successful and just thought, you know what, time to throw some black people in. Well, yeah, it was fucking about time. It's been 15 years now that Iron Man came out, and every choice will be about money. And that's a shame. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying that for the same reason they do not allow creative to express themselves, they will not allow people from every origin to be on screen.
I mean, it's about money, but it's also about white supremacy. Like, it is very, very much about white supremacy. And
yeah, but who has money? You know, white people.
Right. But you can't argue economics without race in this, you know, on this topic.
In the U.S.
and vice versa.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting, like, to me to be the token American in this conversation, because this is a conversation that I find we have a lot farther or maybe not. We have a very long way to go. Maybe not. I'm not sure about relatively with European culture. We have a long way to go on it, but we are also further along than I found people in Europe were in the conversation here in a public forum.
Yeah, but the conversation is different.
I want to say something. Whitewashing exists in France as well, because might I remember you that a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, there was an Alexandre Dumas biopic in France, and to play Alexandre Dumas, they picked Gérard Depardieu. Just for the American, Alexandre Dumas was a French author, and he was black.
Yeah, and he wrote the Three Musketeers.
Musketeers, and they picked Gérard Depardieu to play him. So it exists in France, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But I think that the way, like the vocabulary that is now kind of common knowledge here, we've lifted a lot from activists who have been working very, very hard on this for decades and decades. But again, thanks to things like social media and the internet, we have a conversation here, and I think. Probably similarly in England, I think like Anglophone media has allowed us to talk more about it amongst ourselves and to make it less of a taboo topic. Yeah. Does that make sense?
The thing is, like I said, the history and probably the conversation would be different.
Elsewhere, yeah, of course.
It would be my personal feeling, but I would say that it's a case-by-case scenario in which you can call whitewashing or not on a specific movie, because there's I feel like, for example, in this movie, for someone who would have seen it, it would appear more like mistakes all over the place more than whitewashing, because like we said, it's just, why is it in Japan? It's more that like questions about the movie in itself that will allow us to understand why Scarlett Johansson is in the first role, and obviously they address it because we understand that it's not the original brain in the character, more than just and that's my feeling. I saw like 15 articles before the movie came out, just screaming whitewashing on this movie. And I guess, yes, it raises the concern in the whole industry, but it was not really, on this movie, really relevant, I think.
Oh, it's so relevant.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I want to say something, because I think also the conversation focus on the problem is they should have cast an Asian actor to play the Major, and I agree with that, but I think it's not enough, because if you cast an Asian actor, if you take the same story as the remake of Ghost in the Shell, it would be still be American culture. If you don't change the shape of the stories, and we talked about it in the Tarzan episode. It's like if you do a Tarzan nowadays, if you take the story of Tarzan, it's gonna be a racist movie.
Yeah,
and you can
that's the Beauty and the Beast, by the way. That's like a sexist movie, and why would you do it?
Yeah,
but they do it.
You can do everything you want. You can put like nice African people in the film. You can put everything you want. That's what they did. That's what they did. The movie is still racist because the story is racist, and what you need to do is change the shape of your story, because if you tell an old story, you're gonna have old politics in it, and that's why Beauty and the Beast is a misogynistic movie. It's not Bill Condon, the director, who is a misogynist. He took a story that is misogynist.
Okay, let's just come back to that, because you said you think they should have casted an Asian American or an Asian person instead of Scarlett.
Not an Asian American, a Japanese.
Yeah, but that's where
Japan.
That's where I kind of don't understand, because I know they're making a remake. I know it's U.S. funds. I don't think they should have casted some Asian in this role. I think they shouldn't have done this movie, period.
Yeah, but you said why,
For
and
sure.
I'm gonna tell you one, because the movie is taking place in Japan. That's why.
That for me is just a complete disastrous script. That's all. That's like not really understandable. It's like a problem of coherence.
Movies like these are like an onion of problematic issues.
Yeah.
Of like reasons why this, like, why the movie shouldn't have been made, right? It should have been made with a different cast. It should have been made with different, like, if it would have been okay if it had been made completely differently and by completely different people.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it was, like you said, it was The Matrix or Ex Machina, or it's about, if you want to talk about this topic, you just go and watch another movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this seems like an accidental comment on the same theme as The Matrix. I studied The Matrix in a philosophy of language class.
Yeah.
Where we also did, I think it's Baudrillard who wrote about the simulacra and the
Simulacron 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ghost in the Shell is a great example of it without intentionally commenting on it. Yeah. In so many ways, and I think that's one of the reasons that I find your comment on the fact that it's actually about whitewashing like so interesting, and just another proof that white people have no culture.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to jump back just a little to what you said earlier about the city where the story is supposed to take place. I read a criticism of someone who had interviewed a producer to the film, and because I myself was really interested in knowing more about this, and the producer said that he was purposefully ambiguous about the whereabouts of the city. And he was saying that he was supposedly in a future, a city. It's not really Tokyo. It's not really Hong Kong. It's supposed to be a futuristic city, which is in between Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, Los Angeles. And were they purposefully ambiguous to justify, the whitewashing, being evasive, to say something like, it's supposedly in 300 years, so maybe everybody will be white or something like that. I don't know. It was really. I had the feeling that they were purposefully, ambiguous to justify some of the whitewashing.
So in advance, they knew they will be, criticized on that point, and they might have, probably. Because I don't see any creative
and again to come back to the
choice.
But to come back to the executive suits, like meeting up in this meeting, I can easily picture that guy saying, it's like in 300 years time, and you can see there is like this intern sitting at the end of the table and shyly raising his arm and going like, but isn't she supposed to be Japanese? But it's in 300 years' time. Everybody's going to be white in Hong Kong. Duh.
We're going to colonize everyone.
I can really picture that scene. But
which is like statistically false.
Really,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
I don't think they are a bright bunch, Charlotte. So
and it's really disappointing because the city of Hong Kong is such a good idea to explore the post-colonialism in the future. I think this is a good start, but again, it goes to waste instantly. With what they do with it.
For that length
story.
of a movie, so, they could have addressed that too, but they even addressed less than the original. So whatever.
They put their exposition in the wrong places.
They shine a light. Okay, it's a 2 out of 5 now because it kind of annoys me. Just thinking about the movie.
I think that's like largely the frustration over here is that like, actors and filmmakers of color are like, just fucking stop already. Just stop whitewashing so we can finish talking about it and make our, let us make our shit.
That's the thing. Let us make our shit. That's the thing. You have to produce more of black screenwriter and Asian screenwriter that are good, obviously, but that's the thing. Producers will have a little bit cold feet to produce other than white scripts.
It's because the producers are white, though.
Yeah. There is another thing. It's in Hollywood right now. When they want to do a superhero movie, they're gonna take white male director. But when there was Wonder Woman, hey, let's take a woman to direct it. When they will do Black Panther, hey, let's take a black director to do it. And it's like, aren't they capable to do a Batman as well?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a baby step.
It's like, but true equality, it's when a woman will be directing a Batman, not a Wonder Woman, because she can only talk about vagina.
But that's typically the way of...
God, all I can talk about is vagina.
Yeah, I know.
The truth of the matter is, it takes some people like Jordan Peele to write and direct himself the thing he wants to take on the screen, and then people will be inspired by it, and slowly but surely the world will change. That's our cue to launch "We Are the World" from Michael Jackson.
Whitewashing as a general thing, is something we do, but I think we do it for different reasons with different ethnic groups, and like the American stereotypes of like Asian men and women are just like so awful, and I think that for a long time, until like really recently, it's been sort of the sense that Hollywood didn't think that Asian actors were bankable, period. Like there are a few, there's Denzel, there's Don Cheadle, there's Halle Berry, there's Jada and Will. There are a number of bankable black actors. And while, like, I think anti-blackness is still kind of the ultimate frontier and like the deepest hurt that we have in America, there is like a special kind of racism against like Asian Americans and Asian actors. Like a hypersexualization of the women and an emasculation of the men.
Yeah. But what is dangerous is this autopilot mode that the screenwriters tend to have. It means that they use tropes that exist in American cinema, and by using these tropes, they are perpetrating this kind of cliche, you know,
and reinforcing.
And because it's easy to present, because everyone has the pattern in their brain. But by the way, I'm just going to talk about something else entirely. But I mean, in the movie, it's the Michael Pitt character is supposed to be some failure before Scarlett Johansson's character, right? And yet he's capable of plugging himself into the grid and do whatever he likes. So why doesn't she do that? In the original anime, it's explained by the fact that he's an artificial intelligence, but in this one, he's not. He's supposed to be a human inside a robotic body. So it's like it doesn't mean anything, because if he has this power, she has this power too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just completely forgetting the white question.
To take another example in the Ghost in the Shell remake of how they took the original story but without thinking about it, just a subplot of the film about the garbage men. How do you say
garbage
that
men
in English?
Like the people who take your trash.
Men in the...
Yeah. At one point,
I'm sorry.
he's chasing a garbage man whose brain have been
How do you say that in French?
by the bad guy.
Éboueur. Yes.
What is it?
Éboueur.
Éboueur. Not l'homme de poubelle.
L'homme de poubelle, no.
No. In the original story, we see a garbage man in the process of pirating his ex-wife's brain to know where his child is. When he is arrested, we learn that actually this guy was pirated by the artificial intelligence to be used to pirate a diplomat. And when he thought he was pirating his wife's brain, he was actually pirating a diplomat. And we realize that he actually doesn't have an ex-wife, he doesn't have a child, and he lived alone all his life in a small flat. So how did the artificial intelligence manage to pirate him? By changing his memories. Something, to say that your identity
comes from your memory.
How you can change your identity, you have to change the memory and the way you interacted with the world. So it's consistent with the theme of the movie. In the movie, he's just pirated by the bad guy, and that's it. And yet, during the interrogation, they are still talking about his wife and kids that doesn't exist. The specific point is not part of the plot anymore. But they took it from the original movie without any purpose.
Or perhaps some scenes were deleted. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He might have had something to do with the first hacking, perhaps.
Even if it's a deleted scene, it means that they have a bad editor.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But see, I thought that had to do with Michael Pitt coming in and using him as his eyes, and hands.
Yeah.
Why did he change his memories if it's not used in the movie?
He didn't have to make him believe he has an ex-wife. Yeah, he just take control. Period. Again, that's the proof that no one kind of reread the script. Just no script doctor was allowed in the screenwriting room. Because
or too much.
Too much. Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about a lot of things on this movie. I think we can wrap this up. Thank you very much to you two. Thank you very much, Charlotte from New York. Again, an international podcast.
It's my pleasure.
And we'll see each other soon, perhaps for Get Out. Why not?
That'd be awesome.
Okay, great. Bye, everyone.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.